This is going to be part 5 of the series of tutorials for completing our city or city spell app. This is also the second one in stage 2. So if we look at the guide, by the end of the previous part, which was part 4 and the beginning of stage 2, we got to step number 13, where we have, first of all, in step number 12, you would have placed all those gem indicators pretty much on the handle of the wand, each one with its own X position. So when I look inside my OVR player controller, open it up, open it up, open it up until I get to the left hand controller. Inside the child is wand 7, and one of its children is the gem indicator container. And inside the gem indicator container, there are 5 gems, and each one of them, if I double click, is on its own. They have exactly the same transform, except the X is different, which puts them right next to each other. So if we look at the guide, we have, before that, of course, we turned gem indicator into a prefab. So all of those are children or instances of the same prefab. And there's a total of 5 of them. In step 13, we are going to disable all of them because the idea is that they're there. I'm going to hold shift, select all of them, disable all of them, because when we begin the game, we don't have any. And as we catch and find any of the treasures, we get a little indicator, like a little notch on our wand to indicate that we found it. Once we found 5, we won the game. And of course, our hierarchy should look like this, just like it does for me. Which brings us to step number 14. Very important. We're going to give my wand 7 the tag wand, exact, lowercase, and as you're probably guessing, it's because there's going to be a script on each one of the treasures that's going to ask, did the wand catch me? So wand 7, not any of its children, the whole wand. Remember, it has a box collider, which is in charge of doing the colliding, and it doesn't have a tag yet. So I'm going to add tag. I'm going to click plus, going to call it wand with a lowercase. For no, again, not because it needs to be lowercase, just because it needs to be consistent with the name the script is going to look for it. And save. And remember, that was never enough. You also need to actually select the object and give it. So you need to create the tag and then give it the tag. And we will save, which brings us to another stage. Once we've given wand 7, the tag wand, we're going into a different section, which is to add some monsters throughout the city. We're going to create an empty game object. At this point, by the way, I can re-enable the whole city. I can re-enable the treasures. I can re-enable the plane. Can get a little further away from it, and you already see that I already brought in those monsters, but here's the explanation. We're going to create an empty game object, reset transform, we're going to call it monsters. I already did. Reset transform, monsters. It's not a child of any of the previous objects. It's a container onto itself. What are those monsters? Those monsters are 3D characters that are brought in, that I brought in from a wonderful website called Mixamo.com. It even says that, I believe. And I imported them. At the end of this tutorial, of the whole tutorial for the whole app, there's going to be a separate tutorial on how to go to Mixamo.com and import those wonderful creatures that people uploaded there for free. So I just took 3 of them for the monsters. Later on, you'll see I took a few of them for the winning scene. But right now, there's 3 of them, and I'm going to be using 3 instances of each. So 3 times 3, we're going to have 9 monsters. And the monsters move a little bit and so on. What we're going to do after we created the empty game object called monsters, we're going to go to the teacher's assets, and we're going to find a folder called chars, and inside there's monster free prefabs, and inside you will find 3 kinds of monsters. So city teacher, chars, monster prefabs, 3 kinds of monsters. Parasite, looks like this. Vampire, let me actually double click to open it. This is Parasite. You can see how much work went into that. So we're very thankful for whoever uploaded that. That's Mr. Parasite. That's Mr. Vampire. And this is Mr. Warrock. And what the guide says is to drag 3 instances of each one of the 3 into the game object monster. And also for organization purposes, since we're going to have 3 Parasite, 3 Vampires, and 3 Warrocks, to name them Parasite 1, 2, 3, Vampire 1, 2, 3, and Warrock 1, 2, 3. So the hierarchy looks like this. I already did that to save time. And here I have them. Parasite 1, 2, 3, Vampire 1, 2, 3, and Warrock 1, 2, 3. What do we have to do to them to actually make them, like, both come alive and be in the right position? What we need to do is, holding Shift, select all 9 monsters. In the inspector, there's a script called Look At. So what I attach to each one of them is a script called Look At. Now, if the name sounds familiar, it's because it's the same script we have used in the solar system app to make each object look at the camera. So what I want is when I get close to those monsters, I want it to look like they're not ignoring me, but always facing me, so it looks a little more menacing. So for instance, if you select Parasite 1, you will see that it has the script Look At. The script itself is in the teacher's assets. It's already written. You don't have to write it. It's already in the folder called Chars, and here it is. To remind you what Look At does, if I open it, I'll save you the explanation because it was already taught and explained in a previous app, is basically change the rotation, the transform of whatever object you attach it to, in this case the Y transform, so it rotates vertically. Here it is, this transform position to whatever we define as the target. It does it on update, so it does it very smoothly, 72 times a second. So all the monsters have that script already. And all we got to tell them, and this is why the step is to select all of them. We're going to select Parasite 1, Shift, all the way to Warrock 3, is to say, oh, what is your target? Your target is going to be the OVR camera. You're going to look at the camera. The way I can see it now is that if, for instance, I look from above, and here's my camera, and here's, for instance, this monster. You see how this monster, by default, he just looks forward, just like me. But if I play, because of the script Look At how the monster, with its animation, is looking at the camera. If I move the camera, it rotates to follow me. Next. So there's a field called Target. Drag populate this field with OVR player controller. So now all of them are told to follow. I could have done it, one at a time, only it would take 9 times. And then something that you probably might want to pause the video for, which is, of course, to give each one of them a different X, Y, and Z. Scatter them nicely, almost randomly throughout the city. It's not really random. I gave them these positions so they look like they're more or less like guarding the way to the treasures. Sometimes they're around the treasures and so on. Like this one is close to this treasure. Parasite 2 is close to this treasure. Parasite 3 is close to this. So, on the way to the treasures, it looks like they're, one more obstacle, one more, something that'll give us, nice atmosphere. So there's a table that tells you exactly what X, Y, and Z to give each one of those 9. It might take a couple of minutes. I will save you those minutes because I already did that. So what I'm imagining you're doing right now is pausing the video and following the written guide to give each one of them its correct X, Y, and Z. And very important, what I wrote here in red, the positions of the monster was chosen to be somewhere around the treasures, which of course we can change later. The only thing to pay attention to, which is easily overlooked, is that some of those numbers are negative and some of the, some are positive. Okay, so we got our monsters. I'm assuming you came back and we got our monsters. And when I look at the city from above and I select each monster, I can see that they are, scattered, throughout the city. And save. In the tutorial that's at the end of this whole thing, not only does it tell you how to go to Mixamo and download those monsters, but also how to import them into Unity in a way that will, be usable in Unity, including enabling the animation they came from, like moving of the hands and all that stuff. And even control it in a way, slow it down and speed it up and loop it and so on. Right now, all those monsters are totally, usable. Their animation already works, and it loops, and it looks like they're in like endless, very threatening kind of motion. The next thing in the tutorial is, you might find that familiar. We need an app manager, which is going to be the parent. I'm going to create an empty game object, app manager. As always, it doesn't have to be position reset, but it doesn't hurt. And it doesn't have to be at the top of the hierarchy, but I just like it to be there. And the most important thing is to give it a script, add component, and attach a script to it, which is called App Manager, capital A, capital M. And of course, exact name, because it needs to match this code right here, App Manager. Of course, once I create it, I'm going to put it in my scripts folder. I already did. You should not create one you should create one if needed, because I think it might be the first script. And of course, replace the default content by pausing this video again and typing these, 21 lines with a few empty lines and comments in between. Make sure, because I've just seen it so many times before, that when you type the function or the method start, that you do it with a capital S, and when you type the function update, you do it with a capital U, because otherwise it won't work. It's, I'm saying it from experience. I've seen it so many times. I've done it too many times. So I'm going to assume you're going to pause the video for a second, or a few minutes, as long as it takes you to create this script and type it. And I'll unpause the video when you come back and you're ready. So I'm assuming that you unpaused the video because you have already a folder called My Script. You have already a script called App Manager. I'm going to attach mine. You probably already attached it by writing it as a, add component. One way or another, App Manager, empty game object, default position, and it has an App Manager script. And as you can see, it doesn't have any public fields. It just has a job to do. So I'm going to open it and dedicate the next few minutes to explaining how it works. It's not that long. Just like most app managers, it actually has two classes. It has its own class, of course, which is the App Manager class, named after its, file name. But like most app managers, it also has a class called Application Data. And if you remember, this is so we can share whatever objects and variables and so on are mentioned in application data to be shared amongst all the scripts. And look at how, which ones we're declaring. We're saying, hey, the variables we want all the scripts to share is one public. Public, of course, needs to be it needs to be public so other scripts can see it. Static means that other scripts can read it but not delete it. And it's going to be an integer. One of them is going to be called treasures to find, like how many treasures do you need to find to win the game. And the other one's treasures found, how many found already. So we can decide that, there's 5 treasures to find. And as you find them, it'll start updating the count of treasures found. And when we found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, when this variable is equal to this variable, the game is won. As far as actually playing the game, so on start, void start means, of course, so public class, app manager, mono behavior, that's the name of the syntax. So as far as the local class, as soon as the game starts, we're telling, hey, application data, you have a variable called treasures to find. There's 5 of them. Why? Because we placed 5 of them. As we develop the game more, we can place more treasures and update this number. For right now, it's 5. And as the game begins, treasures found is 0. We're not asking, we're telling the app that there are 5 treasures to find, and as the game starts, you found 0 of them. Then update, which of course it happens 72 times a second. It 72 times a second checks and checks and checks and checks exactly what we said before. Hey, if application data treasures found equals, remember when we compare 2 values, we always use double equal sign. Application data treasures found. In other words, if there are 5 to find and we found all of them, we want to invoke a function called last one found. Now, why not immediately go to the game scene? Because we want to enjoy the effect and the sound of the last one. We're giving it 2.5 seconds. So we're saying, okay, we found the last one, and in 2.5 seconds, which is time enough for this nice magic sound and the magic effect, take me to or invoke or call the function last one found, which is a custom name that I made up. And this is the end of update. So this is the end of if. This is the end of update. Need to make it a comment, of course. End of update. Don't forget, update with a capital U. And then I define the function last one found. What to do after 2.5 seconds. And those 2.5 seconds are just based on the length of the sound I chose. Hey, scene manager. So I'm pointing your attention to the fact that the script starts with a regular using Unity Engine, but also with importing another library called Unity Engine.Scene Management for the sole reason of being able to use the class called Scene Manager and the function built into it called Load Scene. And what scene is it going to load? It's going to load the win scene, which we have not created yet, but at least it will be looking for it once we have found all the treasures. And this is going to be the end of this function and the end of the big public class app manager. And save. Going forward, so right now if I play, nothing should really happen because we're starting with 5 treasures. None of them were found yet, so on the wand hasn't touched any of them yet, so none of the gems on the wand are showing, and we are still on the main scene. Going forward to the rest of the tutorial, the next thing we're going to do is add a script to the prefab called single treasure, which, if you remember, each one of the treasures is placed somewhere, in the city. But we're going to add a script to it, which I already wrote, called single treasure. So we can do it by going to my prefabs, opening single treasure, add component. The name of the script is single treasure script. I already wrote it, so I'm just dragging it in. Single treasure script, yep. And this is a single treasure which has a sphere collider around it. It has a rigid body, so it can detect, being, touched. And the script called single treasure script. So I think it might be a good idea to stop this tutorial now to give you time to type or replace the default code with this code, and I will come back with part 6, which will be probably the last part. There's not too many things left in this tutorial, in this stage 2, and we will explain the script and also move forward. So I'll see you in the next one, in the next part of this, which will be part 6, and it will be step number 21.